So, you know that feeling when you open up your calendar, or maybe you swipe down to look at your phone's screen time report?
Oh yeah, the dreaded screen time report.
Right, and you're just hit with this overwhelming expectation of, like, constant, unyielding productivity.
Absolutely.
It honestly feels like we're socially engineered to be stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at your schedule, and it's just this dense wall of color-coded blocks.
Yeah, and society points at that crowded grid and basically tells you, that's the picture of a successful life.
Exactly.
It's entirely quantifiable, right? We've built a culture that equates a full calendar with personal value.
Which is exhausting.
It is. And it leaves any unstructured time feeling like a failure of optimization.
But then you attempt to step into the world of genuine leisure, of true mental unplugging.
Right, the rare free weekend.
Yeah, and suddenly that optimization engine just completely stalls out. If you're listening to this, you've probably experienced that weekend where you have absolutely nothing to do.
And instead of relaxing, you just feel this ambient humming anxiety.
Yes. It's like we're looking at a landscape of relaxation that, for most of us, is genuinely difficult to navigate. We seem to have basically forgotten how to just exist.
Well, we're highly trained in the mechanics of working, but we are completely unskilled in the mechanics of resting.
Unskilled is a good word for it.
Yeah, because we treat relaxation as just the absence of work rather than an active state that requires its own kind of architecture.
And that architecture is exactly what we are dismantling and studying today.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too. We're looking at a really fascinating source document today. It's a transcript of a conversation titled Simple Joys Under the Oak Tree.
Right, featuring Emma and Ryan.
Exactly. Two friends going on a lakeside picnic. But our mission for this deep dive isn't just to narrate a pleasant afternoon.
No, we're going much deeper than that.
Right. We are going to extract a literal blueprint from their experience for how to successfully disconnect from modern stress.
And cultivate meaningful human connection.
Yes. And find profound happiness in simplicity. Because, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the endless demands on your time right now, this single conversation holds a surprisingly rigorous recipe for a complete mental reset.
It really is a masterclass in intentionality. And the most striking part is that this intentionality starts long before they ever even reach the lake.
Yeah, before anyone can truly relax, a foundation has to be laid.
Exactly. You have to actively bridge that gap from the high-frequency stress of daily life to the actual logistics of a getaway.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the sheer volume of logistics here is, it's staggering.
It's a lot of stuff.
Let's look at what they actually brought to this so-called simple picnic. Ryan shows up with sandwiches made entirely from scratch.
We're talking chicken, lettuce, tomato, cheese, mayo.
Right. And he brings fruit, juice, cookies, a massive picnic blanket, and a portable speaker.
And he also mentions that cooking has become a new hobby of his, which is an important detail.
Why is that important?
Because it shows he's engaging in an active transition state. He's taking energy normally reserved for, professional output and redirecting it into personal, tactile preparation.
Oh, that makes sense. But then Emma arrives, and she completely raises the stakes.
She really does.
She brings her grandmother's homemade pasta salad, muffins, fresh lemonade, paper plates, cups, and an entire assortment of outdoor games.
Ryan actually jokes that they've packed enough food for a football team.
Yeah. And Emma's philosophy is basically that it's better to have way too much than not enough. But I have to challenge the core premise here.
Go for it.
If the goal is a simple joy, is bringing a portable speaker, an arsenal of games, and a buffet large enough to feed a sports roster actually simple?
It does seem counterintuitive.
Right. It feels less like a casual afternoon and more like a space launch. Like, how a rocket burns almost all of its fuel just breaking Earth's gravitational pull?
That's a great way to look at it.
It seems like Ryan and Emma are burning a massive amount of logistical fuel up front just to break the gravity of their daily stress.
That rocket metaphor captures the mechanism perfectly. It seems contradictory to work so hard to relax, but there is a vital psychological strategy at play here.
Which is?
The elimination of decision fatigue. Think about the cognitive load of a normal day.
It's massive.
The human brain consumes so much energy just making micro choices, like what's for lunch? Do we have enough? Should we go somewhere else? What if we get bored?
Right, we're constantly negotiating with our environment.
Exactly. So by bringing this overwhelming abundance of food and supplies, Emma and Ryan create an absolute safety net.
They're front-loading the cognitive burden.
Yes. Once they sit down, they don't have to worry about a single physical need. That intense preparation is the toll they pay to cross over into complete relaxation.
Because the logistics are completely solved.
They can fully let go of their executive function.
So the preparation is the fortress that protects the relaxation.
Beautifully put.
But front-loading the logistics is only half the battle, right? Because if you eat a massive, perfectly prepared feast in the middle of a traffic jam, you're still going to be stressed.
Oh, without a doubt.
That brings us to the physical and digital boundaries they set up once they arrive. Because the environment they choose and the rules they apply to it act as the actual walls of that fortress against the outside world.
What's fascinating here is how deeply intentional the physical space is. They don't just go to any random park.
No, they seek out a large, shady oak tree right by a lake.
And the transcript highlights how quickly they notice the sensory details. The fresh air, the singing birds, the ducks swimming by.
Even a family of squirrels.
Right. They are using sensory grounding to pull their nervous systems out of the busy city, as Ryan calls it, and into the present moment.
And the weather plays a huge role in this grounding, too. It's sunny with a gentle breeze, but there is this, lingering shadow over the day.
Yesterday's rain forecast?
Yeah, yesterday's forecast had predicted rain, so they are acutely aware of how fragile this perfect afternoon is.
Emma even notes that rain would have ruined their picnic entirely.
Ryan tries to play the optimist, saying rain makes nature beautiful, but Emma shuts that down pretty quickly.
Yeah, she points out that rain is only beautiful if you're safely indoors.
Right.
That dynamic highlights the contrast principle in human psychology. You see, we suffer from hedonic adaptation.
Meaning we get used to comfort very quickly.
Exactly. We often don't register peace unless we have recently experienced or narrowly avoided a stressor.
Ah, so the lingering threat of the rain forecast didn't dampen their day at all.
No, it actively heightened their gratitude for the sun. The absence of a ruined day makes the baseline reality feel euphoric.
I'd argue it's the exact same reason we need the threat of a Monday morning to make a Saturday afternoon feel so sweet.
That's a perfect parallel.
But they don't just rely on the physical environment, right? They use it to enforce a digital one. Ryan explicitly suggests they institute a strict no-phone rule for the day.
With one single exception.
Taking pictures. And Emma immediately agrees.
This is where we see the concept of environmental anchoring. If you are sitting in your living room, or if you, the listener, are sitting at your desk right now, putting your phone in a drawer feels like a deprivation.
Because your brain associates that physical space with constant connectivity.
Right. The couch is an environmental cue to scroll, but because Emma and Ryan are anchored by a novel environment, the oak tree, the lake, the fresh air, the digital boundary feels like a natural extension of their physical boundary rather than a punishment.
They are essentially treating their modern smartphones like vintage single-use film cameras.
Exactly.
They've completely stripped away the internet, the feeds, the endless emails. They've reduced this incredibly powerful supercomputer down to a glass lens that is only allowed to capture memories.
By stripping the phone of its connectivity, they are protecting the novelty of their environment.
Because if you bring the internet to the lake, you've just brought the city to the lake. But even with the phones away and the food unpacked, they don't just sit there. Because sitting completely still in nature with no digital distractions usually induces a low-grade panic in modern adults.
Oh, absolutely. The silence can be deafening.
Instead, they move into action, and this transition is crucial. They engage in physical activity, which acts as a bridge from surface-level chatter to incredibly deep vulnerability and nostalgia.
Structured play is a critical, often overlooked phase of emotional connection. They don't just sit on the blanket and jump into deep philosophical conversations.
Right. They start by playing Frisbee.
And Ryan points out that his years of practice are paying off, and he compliments Emma on how much her throw has improved.
Then they switch to badminton, and they play until they are genuinely physically exhausted.
It's only after they sit down, tired, sipping fresh lemonade, that the conversation really shifts.
And it shifts dramatically. The badminton game directly unlocks Emma's memories.
It does.
She starts fondly recalling her childhood summer vacations. Flying kites, eating watermelon, and playing that exact same game of badminton.
And that opens the door for Ryan.
Yeah, he shares these incredibly tender memories of fishing in rivers with his father almost every weekend.
But he admits something profound, right?
Yeah, he says catching fish didn't really matter. Simply sitting beside his dad was the real joy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture and look at the neuroscience of play here, we see the actual mechanics of human vulnerability at work.
How so?
When you engage in structured physical play like badminton, You are forcing your brain out of the default mode network.
Which is where our anxieties and to-do lists live.
Right, the rumination center. And it pushes you into the task-positive network. You have to focus on the shuttlecock. You had to move your body.
Oh, so it's like an override switch for the anxious adult brain.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Physical exertion metabolizes built-up adrenaline and cortisol.
It burns off the stress.
It also downregulates the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive control center that manages our adult facades and professional personas.
Wow.
Once you are physically exhausted, you simply don't have the energy to maintain your mental armor. Play is a universal language that allows adults to safely access formative childhood memories without feeling foolish or exposed.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Do adults actually require the excuse of structured physical games to grant themselves permission to act like kids?
Very often, yes.
I think of play as a mental palate cleanser. It's the sorbet between the stiff, guarded adult world and genuine emotional intimacy.
That's a great analogy.
Because without the physical exertion to burn off the anxious energy of the city, they might have just sat on that blanket talking about their commutes or, complaining about their bosses.
Exactly. The physical play demanded their presence, which in turn invited their pasts into the conversation in a very grounded way.
So if you're listening to this and wondering why your weekend coffee dates with friends always stay on the surface level of work complaints, it might be because you haven't burned off the armor first.
That's a very practical takeaway. You have to change the physiological state before you can change the conversational depth.
And once that depth is achieved, something fascinating happens in the transcript. Grounded in their past, their conversation naturally slows into their current intellectual pursuits and their future trajectories.
This is where we see their differing mindsets laid out.
Yes, and we see how they complement one another.
Their discussion about hobbies is incredibly revealing regarding their core values.
Yeah, Emma talks about recently finishing a novel centered on adventure and friendship.
And her hobbies are painting and gardening. She specifically notes that gardening teaches her patience, watching plants grow slowly over time.
Right.
Her leisure is autotelic. The value is in the doing of the thing. She is highly process-oriented.
Contrast that with Ryan. He reads biographies. Why? Because he explicitly wants to learn how successful people think.
Right, very different motivation.
His hobbies are photography, hiking, cycling activities that involve reaching a destination, capturing a specific result, or optimizing a skill.
And when they look 5 years into the future, their visions are just as distinct.
Yeah, Emma dreams of having a successful career while traveling the world, specifically imagining the magical, immersive scenery of New Zealand.
While Ryan, on the other hand, dreams of starting his own business and pictures himself sitting by a mountain lake in Switzerland, having conquered a goal.
He actually drops this defining line. Dreams often become plans if we keep working toward them.
That encapsulates an entirely outcome-oriented worldview. Ryan evaluates his leisure and his future through the lens of instrumental value.
Like, what can this activity do for me? How does it move me forward?
Exactly. Emma experiences life as a garden to be tended, valuing patience and the journey. Ryan experiences life as a mountain to be climbed, valuing strategy and the destination.
It's easy to look at those two profiles and assume they are complete opposites who view the world in incompatible ways.
Sure, on paper they seem very different.
But looking at how they interact under this oak tree, they don't clash at all. They act more like an anchor and a sail on a ship.
Oh, I like that.
Ryan represents the driving, ambitious sail that wants to turn dreams into concrete plans and business ventures. Emma represents the grounding, experiential anchor that understands that patience and enjoying the scenery are what keep the ship from capsizing.
Right.
In this conversation, they are balancing each other out in real time. Ryan provides the structure, Emma provides the color.
It really highlights a crucial dynamic for any successful partnership or deep friendship. If you have two sails, the ship moves fast but has no stability.
And two anchors, and you never leave the port.
Right. Under the oak tree, away from the demands of the city, they are able to appreciate the utility of each other's worldview without feeling threatened by it.
And that mutual appreciation sets the stage for the climax of the entire day. As the afternoon winds down, they arrive at a profound philosophical realization.
Which the universe immediately decides to test.
Yes. The timing of this sequence in the transcript is brilliant.
It really is.
The sun starts setting, painting the sky orange, pink, and gold. Emma declares that nature is the greatest artist.
And they settle into this beautiful, quiet agreement that happiness doesn't require expensive things.
They acknowledge that people, including themselves, too often chase big achievements, the promotions, the status, and entirely forget about the simple joys right in front of them.
Emma says it's been one of the happiest days she's had in months, and Ryan completely agrees.
It is a perfect, mindful, cinematic moment of peace.
And then the disruption happens.
Literally seconds after this deep realization about the beauty of simplicity, a squirrel runs right up and steals Ryan's cookie.
It's hilarious.
In the city, in a normal state of mind, losing your dessert to a rodent is a ruined lunch.
It's a huge inconvenience.
Yeah, it's a loss of control that triggers a spike in blood pressure and frustration.
Because in the city, we operate with a rigid expectation of how things are supposed to go. But true mindfulness isn't just about appreciating a golden sunset when the environment is perfectly catering to your comfort.
No, the actual measure of a mental reset is psychological flexibility.
Exactly. How do you react when the environment disrupts your comfort?
So what does this all mean? Well, Ryan's reaction is the perfect metric for how well this blueprint worked. Instead of getting mad, he immediately laughs it off.
He reframes the theft entirely, calling it his donation to wildlife.
That cognitive reframing is everything. The stolen cookie is the ultimate Zen test.
It really is. He accepts the absurdity of the situation without losing his peace.
He takes a moment of unexpected loss and instantly categorizes it as an act of generosity, even if it's just a joke.
It proves that the stressful, rigid city mindset has been completely shed. He is no longer trying to optimize the outcome of the cookie.
He is just experiencing the reality of the lake.
Yeah.
They follow up this moment by taking a few photos.
Yeah.
And perfectly on brand for the day, Ryan blinks in one of them, which just adds to the charming imperfection of it all.
They reflect on how good friends make ordinary moments unforgettable.
And finally, they meticulously clean up every single piece of trash, packing everything away before planning a future barbecue.
You know, that cleanup phase shouldn't be overlooked.
Yep.
It's an act of environmental respect. They recognize that this physical space, the oak tree, the lake, acted as the container for their mental reset.
Right, so by leaving it exactly as they found it, they are honoring the space.
Yes. Closing the loop on the experience, ensuring it remains pristine for the next person who needs a refuge from the city.
So let's bring this all together for you, listening right now. What is the actual blueprint we can extract from Emma and Ryan's afternoon?
Well, first, you have to pack intentionally.
Front-load your cognitive load and over-prepare your logistics so your brain doesn't have to make any survival or comfort decisions in the moment.
Second, you must establish physical and digital boundaries.
Use a novel environment to break your phone habits, reducing your device to nothing more than a camera.
Third, use physical exhaustion and structured play as a neurological palate cleanser.
Right, lowering your adult defenses to unlock real vulnerability.
And finally, cultivate psychological flexibility.
Balance profound observations with a sense of humor, recognizing that a stolen cookie isn't a disaster, it's just a donation to the local wildlife.
These aren't abstract concepts reserved for meditation retreats.
No, not at all.
They are highly accessible, mechanical strategies for anyone feeling crushed by the pace of modern life. It simply requires the intentionality to stop negotiating with your calendar and actively build the architecture of your own rest.
Which leaves us with one final thought for you to mull over. We've seen how a single afternoon under a literal oak tree has the power to completely reset Emma and Ryan's perspective on success, happiness, and human connection.
The natural environment forced a pause, and the boundaries protected it.
But what if we took that exact same picnic intentionality and applied it to our everyday indoor environments?
That's a great question.
Could you create an oak tree space in your own living room? Or even in a corner of your office? A space where the physical logistics are permanently handled. The phone is strictly forbidden from acting as an internet browser, and the only goal is to protect your peace.
It's entirely possible.
If a park can rewrite your nervous system in a few hours, just imagine what your life would look like if you engineered that exact same sanctuary inside your own home. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you the tools to seek out your own simple joys. Until next time.